started a live one. Yep, I see. I gotta shut this volume off on that though. There
There you go. I like that. I like your tagline now.
There we go.
Just design expert.
Steven, design X. Oh,
Yeah,
we'll keep
hold
back
on.
there. Yep.
Yeah. There you go.
All right, cool.
Good.
That'll work.
Sweet. All right, man.
Yeah. Speaking of name changes, so I changed my name, and my engagement dropped off a cliff.
Oh, because everybody's expecting UX Steven and stuff.
I guess so. I don't know if that's what it was, or if Instagram thought it was spam or what, but it dropped off a cliff.
Oh, man. Do you know about when that was?
So I changed it last Monday.
Okay.
I was talking to somebody else about this and doing it, and it's obviously a good idea. And Janda said the same thing as well. Just because I've drifted away from UX stuff and been doing more Instagram and social media growth, that I felt a sort of disconnection when people would come to my page and see all this Instagram growth stuff, and not as much as the UX or UI stuff that I used to do in the past.
Right.
I don't know. We'll see. I can't totally blame it on the name change either, because I haven't been keeping up with posting to stories every day as much and putting out content every day. So I don't know.
Find it. It completely gets consuming, right? I mean,
Yeah.
At some point, that's your job, basically, is just keeping up with comments and Instagram. Hey, everybody on Instagram Live, how you doing? I'm with Steven Mellor, formerly UX Steven. Now
Formerly.
he is the only Steven Mellor now. I should talk because I'm the Mario Quezada.
Yeah, we both got the in the name now.
Yeah,
that's always good.
Yeah. We're the Steven and Mario. There you go. If you guys have any questions, feel free to you can jump on YouTube. I don't know why you would if you're on Instagram already, but if you have any questions for Steven or myself, please just ask a question in the comments, and we will try to get to as many as possible. There's quite a few of you watching right now. Most likely because Steven's on, because I never get this many viewers.
That's funny.
But it's good to see you guys. Good to meet you guys. So, Steven, why don't you talk to us a little bit about yourself, and then just maybe current projects and stuff like that. Maybe are you transitioning yourself to a different? I know we've talked here and there. I don't want to.
Yeah, I'll dive in. It's so my main role right now is in a startup. I'm a co-founder, and I do a lot of the front end dev design, all the UI, and I work with a great team of back end developers. So I essentially put all this stuff together in the front end and package it up for them to connect everything in the back end. So that's my day job. There's a lot of UI, a lot of UX, a lot of product design, mixed in with marketing and web design as well. Because it's a startup, we're a small team, but so you kind of got to wear a bunch of hats. But I've really found a nice niche in the Instagram side of things in social media, and that sort of stems from my background in marketing. So started out with school doing design and got my bachelor's degree in design, and switched to marketing to really get both sides and get a sense of both sides. So I really like marketing as a whole, but I like design as well, and I didn't know how or where to blend those two. So I think for me, keeping my startup job, doing all the front end design, and then my side hustle, my 9 p.m. to 1 a.m. doing the Instagram stuff is really it helps balance me out.
Awesome. So, man, startup life. I've been there. It's just that's a tough place. How did you you mention how big your team is? How big is your team?
So my team right now, we have 3 or 4 people in my current location. One's remote, and then we have 2 developers overseas. So we have about 5 people constantly working on it, and then a handful of advisors. And a little preview, I won't share everything, but we're building a blockchain-based digital wallet. So it's a complete universal reward system with a digital wallet. A lot of stuff in the cryptocurrency space, in the reward space, which is exciting, right? It's completely
Yeah.
different than all the Instagram stuff that I'm doing and all the marketing stuff I'm doing. But it's a very small team, and we're still not really seed funded, and we're going for our initial like crowdfund and seed fund this spring. Hopefully, if all this stuff dies down that's going on in the world.
Sweet. That's really cool. Have you always been interested in the cryptocurrency
No,
realm or no?
Cryptocurrency, I only got awareness to it probably when I started looking at the job and the opportunity last December. Sorry, not last December, but December 2018, November 2018. And then I dove in head first, right? So back then, not to get too crazy in the crypto, but Bitcoin was around 3 grand, and it ballooned all the way up back to 13 or 14, and since obviously settled back down to about 5 or 6 right now. But there's so much in that space in terms of cryptocurrency and all the amazing, tech that people are building around that space. So it's pretty exciting. It's fun.
Awesome. So yourself, what's your role there?
So I am a co-founder and a CPO, so Chief Product Officer. I wouldn't call myself a CTO. I'm not super technical, but I know enough to be dangerous. So I could sort of patch it together. But I'd put myself more on the product side, because the product side involves marketing and design. And that's really where I fit in. It's sort of that hybrid role between the two fields. And I leave all the really complex, back end technical coding stuff to people who are much better than I am.
Absolutely. That's cool. Just to kind of just go back to all our comments. Yes, we're going to be answering some questions. So if you guys have any questions, ask them. I'll try to get to as many as possible. It's really hard to like scroll through these questions and stuff. So
I know they need a better system, on a better UI,
really,
on how to get questions. Right?
Really bad, because you have to like look at it. And, anyway, and then waving too. I wish I could just wave at all of you at the same time.
No, I'm so bad. I'm not like looking at these.
Dave Tallis is on.
Oh, he is.
Jeremy Mira is on. Got some more friends on here. What's up, everyone? So I'll just ask a quick question regarding just kind of current struggles, and I don't want to rabbit trail off into this too much right now, but with the current situation going on, we had a question from Adriana Ogo. I think that's the way you say your handle. Any advice on client aggregation during this time with just kind of current client climate going on right now?
Like keeping them. I mean, everybody's tight with their wallets right now.
Yeah.
Because they don't know what's going to go on. And I was so early with the previous crisis, the previous recession in my career. I mean, that was what, 12 years ago, 13 years ago now. So I was just going through it and starting my career. But if I had to sort of reference that, constant communication. You got to be available, and you have to be dynamic with sort of your offering and pricing, and realize that some people are going to be tight with their wallet. They're not going to want to spend, but you have to get creative around how you offer and package your services, or potentially do your payments, right? I know Michael put out a great post, Michael Janda, about the 50-50. Maybe you have to rethink that in times like this, and be flexible and do a little bit more vetting of your clients to make sure you're not getting, raked over the coals in this one. I would just be flexible. What do you think about that?
I think flexibility is like the name of the game right now. We have to be flexible in every aspect of what we're doing right now, right? With how we're doing our business, how we're taking care of our clients, talking to our clients, how we're um, negotiating contracts, if there is any negotiation to be done right now. I like what Michael said. One of the things that I really kind of grabbed hold of is um, making sure, instead of that 50-50 thing or 50-25-25 thing, maybe keeping your payments to the amount of work done, right? So at the beginning, obviously you need a little bit of payment to get started, but can that be 15% rather than 50%, and then you have a check in at 15%, and or 25%, whatever that is, you just have a little bit more checks and balances through that, so that your client knows that you're trying to work with them.
Yep.
Continue on with them. Sorry, my kids are going to be yelling in the background. So
oh, it's all good. Dadpreneur. I had my son running down my office all day today anyway, so I'm used to it. And on that point real quick too, I think you were talking about being flexible. We were talking about being flexible. And I think that you have to sort of adapt, and maybe you tell them, hey, instead of doing this big project, why don't we do something that gets you the most exposure, or, takes the risk off of their shoulders with what you want to offer, what you want to do. Like before, if you had a $50,000 project and it's going to do a complete overhaul, why don't you scale it back and try to work with them to put them in the optimal space? So it's not, taking money out of their pocket just to line yours, but you're really working the relationship and caring about their business, right? So you don't want to overextend them, because in the short term it may help you, but it's going to hurt you in the long term.
Absolutely. Yeah, I think right now, if you can really voice to your clients in a way of how you assist them in this time, whether they're current, past, or future clients, I think if you can come to them and have the mindset of just being helpful in this time, and seeing how you can just assist them without looking for a big contract, without looking for a big win right now. Mini wins right now are going to be huge wins later, right?
Yep.
The more you just kind of connect and make micro wins now, and I think the more that can be done with being really helpful for our clients right now, right? Like if you're just making yourself available and say, hey, if you need anything, just let me know. It doesn't have to be a big thing. It can be a small thing. If you want some messaging done, it's not like we have, we're going to be busy with all this stuff. Just if there are little things that you can do to help your client, like I did a small thing the other day for one of my clients, and just a PR shout out. It was nothing really big. It was just typesetting some stuff. And I was like, sure, I got 10 minutes. I'll do that real quick. But it really helped him out. I'm not going to charge him 10 minutes of work. I'm just going to be helpful in this time, because he knows that he can rely on me in times of crisis. And I think that's what I'm going to be focusing on right now myself, is just being available.
I think that's a good point too. And so it's a pivot in sort of our strategies, because I know I've said before, don't do free work, right?
Right.
And maybe the way to look at it is, we're not really doing free work, but we're laying the groundwork for future work with them, right? Yeah. So you're flexible up front, you build a really good rapport and relationship, and it should reciprocate itself. And they're going to look to you in the end, that you were there for them, you helped them, you saved them a ton of money, stress, and worry, and they most likely will pay it back and pay it forward to you with future contracts.
Yeah, absolutely. Okay, I'm going to jump into another little question here.
Yeah.
We have Desiree Jackson asking if there's any advice for a recent UX UI bootcamp grad who's applying to jobs. I have some thoughts on this, but I think this is a very interesting time to answer this question.
I think so. Recent grad in UX bootcamp and trying to find a job. So, interestingly enough, I was actually looking for UX work a year ago, and all the stuff that I found, they weren't really hiring senior guys. They were hiring, a lot of entry level. And it seemed to flip a little to now they're looking for more mid and senior positions as the UX field starts to mature. So I think you need to find a way to separate yourself from all of the typical UX stuff. I would find a really tight niche and go heavy on that with my portfolio rather than making a general one, and really target certain segments or markets that you want to go after rather than a broad spectrum of UX. What's your take on this?
My take's really going to be very much geared to the current situation. I think perhaps looking for a job at this point in time may be, I wouldn't say the wrong move, but it may be misplaced focus at this time. I think there's probably going to be a lot of mini freelance stuff that's going to be available because no one's going to be looking to bring in people in-house most likely at this time because there's just not going to be a lot of things happening for most industries in the world. Things are going to be really shutting down, really being put off to a different time. And what I would do, and I'm kind of a contractor freelancer by nature. I'm comfortable in that space. I'm fine hustling and looking for work. I would just kind of make my services known, make my services available, and say, hey, if you guys need anything, this is what my skill set is. If you guys want to talk about hiring me on, awesome. But if not, then I can step in the gap and kind of help you guys out in this time. And again, it goes back to like being helpful, being available. That's what I would do, Desiree. I would just kind of make it known that, hey, these are my skill sets. This is what I can do. I can hustle. I'm fast in the job, and I can step in if you guys need some stuff done right now. Because I don't know how eager people are going to be to kind of bring people in-house at the moment.
Right. I agree with that. When Desiree is asking again, if we focus on a niche thing like fintech, yes. So you want to pick a particular area that is a passion for you and go after that, rather than saying, you do app UX, right? You do app UI, right? That's a very broad field. But if you say, I know it's a bad time with restaurants, but if you say, hey, I'm really good with restaurants and bars and breweries, here's all my work for this, and this is all the case studies I've done around these particular products and services for these people. When you go and talk to another brewery, you're going to be, top of the list because you have all these examples that are very highly relatable.
That's really solid. Let's talk a little bit about like maybe hidden opportunities that might be available. I know you said that right now my mother-in-law works in the restaurant industry, and right now, as of tomorrow in Hawaii, there will be no in-house in-restaurant service anywhere. So closing and shutting everything down. But what an amazing opportunity for smaller places to go online. They've never gone online. They've never had online ordering. They've never had any of that stuff. And who better to do that than a UX UI designer that coming in and say, hey, I can help you with that.
Absolutely.
I can address some kind of plug and play situation and get you up and running in a couple days. I mean, I think that would be a highly valued skill right now.
Online ordering, even, working with deliveries, trying to find a way to optimize their page, their site, their ranking to get them top of list. Local targeting, specifically not UX, but ad space. And two, my personal opinion, I think a lot of the ad space over the next month is going to dry up, and people are going to be tight with their budgets and try to do a lot more stuff organically. So there's another, avenue there, certainly, for any designer to come in, designer, marketer to come in and really own that space.
Yeah, I think these are opportunities that I think we're, with the current situation, we may be kind of not be aware of, but if we look for opportunity, there's always opportunity to solve somebody's problem.
Yep.
And somebody's always going to have especially now, someone's always going to have some kind of a design problem that we can come in and help solve. Even if it's not something that we can fully do, like I do very light UI UX stuff. Like I'm not a coder. I'm not going to do that, but I can help somebody design their way into what they need, their flow and everything like that, and I can find a UX person to come make it happen.
Yeah.
And I'm a problem solver at heart, so like I know I can step into a situation and help somebody out. We need to start thinking a little bit more. I think a little bit more fluidly about our skill sets, our problem solving abilities, because people at this point, people are looking for problem solvers, right?
Yep.
Let's talk about that. Like right now is a highly important time to be a problem solver, and that's a valuable skill.
Absolutely. I think you're hitting the nail on the head. You need to be a generalist right now rather than so specific. I know I said earlier, a few minutes ago, to be, a specific niche, but in terms of the global market, if you want to go after and you want to win stuff now, like you said, you have to be a problem solver. You have to be more of a generalist. You have to know how to talk sort of a little bit of the sales game, know a little bit of the marketing speak, and also push a lot of that design and be able to work them through solutions rather than just try to sell them a website. And solving the root problem. And every business owner right now is thinking about how they're going to make their money and save their money rather than watch the stock market go down. So you're going to be cognizant of that and adapt your solutions to their needs.
Yeah, I think right now you have to be highly flexible. There's this like little fake proverb that I've heard multiple times, but like it's blessed are the flexible, for they will not be broken, right? And right now is highly important to be very, very flexible. And I think this kind of like speaks to Boxy's I think it's Boxy, BAKZ_I, just talking about like how are we adapting our approach with the current C19 situation. I think that's the way to do it. That's the way to adapt right now, is to be flexible.
Yep.
Think of your skill sets as a holistic thing. What are the things that you are well versed in doing? How can you problem solve for people and really just start thinking outside the box, because people are going to be looking for those out of the box answers right now.
Absolutely. So what other projects do you have going on in your world? Let's talk about that real quick.
Sure. Honestly, right now I'm working on some podcasting stuff, and this is just building up my own brand. So podcasting stuff, this stuff, I'm going to be doing a lot more design-focused podcasting and more like a problem-solving, fluid kind of thing, how to solve different problems at different times, which is, I think, perfect for now. And then Dadpreneur, which we were supposed to have you on a long time ago.
No, I know.
It's all good.
I know.
But Dadpreneur, and then basically just building content right now. And then I've got a small packaging job and some identity stuff that is in the works at this time. But other than that, just personal rebrand and then building content, which is that's
content every day.
Yeah, content every day. That's like become my third full-time job.
I know. My eyes are bleeding from staring at the screens for about 18 hours a day.
Right, and then when you go to bed, you're still buzzing from just being in that light and being on the computer all the time. Just like
I don't know if you listen to Eric Thomas, the ET hip hop preacher, at all. Have you heard about him?
No.
So look him up, ET the hip hop preacher. So he had this one quote where he's talking about how he's pissed that he has to go to bed. Like some people are happy like to sleep 10, 12, 14 hours. And he's like, I'm pissed when I go to bed. It's 4 a.m. and I'm going to bed pissed. And it's so funny because I'm that way. Like I find myself falling asleep and nodding off, and I'm like I just want to get this done. I want to produce some more stuff. And I just, I know it's been my best interest to just shut it down for the night.
I switched to a standing desk a little while ago. It rises and falls, and like I'm at it standing more often than not. But the awesome thing about it is like my back doesn't hurt at all anymore, which is great. But the funny thing about it is, it's 4 o'clock in the morning, and I'm still like trying to bang away content, and my eyes are like fighting against me. I have almost fallen down standing up because I'm just falling asleep, and just a few too many times. Any time or is too many. But a few
You know,
tunes
it's
up.
bad when you're getting a large iced coffee at about 9 or 10 p.m. at night.
Oh man, I think I have too much caffeine in my system because coffee just does not affect me.
No,
Like I could drink coffee at night and go right to bed.
same.
But yeah, yeah. It must just be something with creatives. I think there's just if I had enough energy, I would just want to just continue to create as much as possible all the
Yep.
time, all the time, all the time. Because there's always something to figure out, right? And it's just that's the fun part about it. It's just figuring new stuff out.
I think you touched on this a little bit, talking about what projects you're on and personal brand. This is a big one for me right now because I'm doing a lot of obviously IG work, but there's a lot of products and services that I'm sitting there trying to create and put out. And I feel like I need to get this entire, cache of documents and collateral and content together just to push it out. And I think that is the one, my one sticking point is I feel like I have all this knowledge and stuff written in notes and notebooks that I need to put out into a document before I finally say, "Hey, it's open. Here you go. You can buy it."
Yeah.
Which I don't know. I need a better solution for that. So if you have one, I'm all ears.
I think honestly, I think you've been banging on your personal brand for a while now. You've exploded on Instagram. You've been continuously, like, I think, looked at as an expert in your field and somebody who has valuable knowledge. And even with your mini pivot into Instagram, all things Instagram, right? Getting all these fancy features before everybody else.
The DM on web, it's huge,
pretty,
by the way.
it's pretty. I'm pretty jealous about. But anyway, not bitter. I think you've done it, and I think there's one thing that I always tell young designers or whatever. It's like just continue to produce and just push it out and make it. It's like MVP, right? Minimum viable product. You're in the product space. The soonest we can get something out into the world that works and that makes sense, that people can interact with and give us feedback on, so that we can continue to iterate and make better, then the better we'll be. And I think where I started freaking out was like, well, but this is me, right? This is my brand. So like this is myself. So like if I'm putting this out before it's ready, I don't want people like jumping on me and telling me like stupid and all this other stuff. And I was like, so it's like it's the fear factor becomes a lot more personal when it's your own brand, right? So, but I think you're obviously highly intelligent and you know what you're doing, and I would just continue to just do and then just start putting stuff out, man. The quicker you put that stuff out. But
it's funny. I'm just like everybody else though. Like I've redesigned my own website like 5 or 6 times since I started Instagram, right? And I'm doing this email sign up course, and I'm also building something else for designing carousels. And it's like I have 6 or 7 different products that are probably about 70% of the way. And it's like I just want to block out 48 hours and just crank through it all. But it's so tough. Obviously, dadpreneur. It's tough to juggle that startup, dad life, home life, building all this stuff, and then by the time you get around to it again, you realize there's 6 other things you want to change about it. So it's interesting.
So let's kind of focus on that a little bit. What do you think could be the number one thing to bring in some kind of recurring income with all the products that you have kind of in the oven right now?
Oh, that's interesting. So I don't think it's building an Instagram following. I'll cross that out because I know people who are really successful doing, product-based stuff, but they don't have a big following doing it. Certainly it helps bring exposure, but there's ways around that. I think tiny offers and micro courses, if you want to build a small, steady, reliable income stream, would help. People are so conditioned nowadays, and I know this from the app world, microtransactions, things that are $2, $3, $4, $5, people will pay for left and right because you can justify that purchase in your mind, like, oh, a coffee costs $3, so I'm going to buy this little thing for $3 over here. If it's a little bigger, if it's a $11 ebook or $9 ebook, people will scoop that up all day, every day. What the tough part is, and they're more hesitant. It's a longer sales cycle to go and sell somebody a, you know, $497 package. It
Right.
makes more sense because you have, you know, or it would make sense to sell that because you get more revenue, you get more product, but the sales cycle is longer. But if you can't afford to do that and really sell as much, you know, make these micro offers that are really targeted and really niche down and make them really easy to, you know, consume and give those users quick wins. Because once they, if they pay $9 for your product or $11 and they download your book and it works in the next 2 days, they're hooked. They're more apt to buy your next product or next, you know, offering. But if you try to sell them over the course of 2 months and get them to buy a $497 course, and then they kind of flake off after, you know, 2 weeks and only get through half of it, they're going to go, I don't know, wasn't really into it. I'm not going to buy from that guy again, right?
Absolutely.
So I would focus more on the micro stuff and the tiny offers, and find a way to package a bunch of tiny offers together to get you to where you want to go.
That's it. That's, I mean, I think that's totally solid advice. So for you, what do you think would be your maybe top two mini offers that you could finish off right now?
Oh, so I'll put this out there that, you know, I have a sign up list on my page, and not to promote myself, but this is sort of my strategy and what I'm going to do. I have a email sign up, so you go through that and you get a free 5-day Instagram course. I'll give you a whole bunch of tips to really get you on the right track. After that, I will upsell either a consulting package or a mini offer. But the mini offer is going to be a little bit more expanded, up to $27. So it's not breaking the bank, and it's a little bit above the $11 one, but it's not so much to where, you know, they're going to see sticker shock and go, that's not really worth it.
Yeah.
So those are the two that I'm working on right now to implement in the next couple of weeks. And then I really want to go into a bigger design for Instagram course.
Oh, nice.
And I think there's a lot of people who sell, you know, how to grow your following, but there's nobody really who sell,
How to design.
you know, the design part of it, right? Like why you're creating these carousels, why you're, you know, doing these sorts of things with your images that will really help build your brand, and really drive more attention to your brand.
That's awesome. I'm gonna look for. We had a question here. Kind of focused exactly on that. Um, Hussein creates says, I don't even know if he's on still, but I'm gonna use his question because somebody else has his question.
Sure.
He's making a carousel titled "Trust Yourself," and it's about listening to the small voice in your head. His question is, what picture or object should he put near the title on the first slide? Was as far as like design.
What image should he put in
Yeah.
the first frame, in the lead frame?
I would commend this just like maybe even promoting like general design, like what's important to have as a first frame.
So important to have as a first frame, I think. I like to keep my words to 3 or 4 major words or less, right? You could use a subtle subtitle. I know in my last one I have distracted and it's sort of broken up, but there's a bunch of ones that I do, how to create carousels. It's 4 words. And either you want to use a really appealing graphic. And again, this is some of this comes from marketing too, right? Faces work better, because people are naturally attracted to faces. And depending on which way you face the face, which way the person is facing, is how the user's eye is going to draw in that carousel, right? You know, combine that with, you know, some high visual colors, and then you can really have something. So it's taking all those accounts into play where, I mean, maybe somebody who doesn't really think it through, doesn't think about the position of it or how it's arranged, you know, or they're trying to cram too much on one page. So less is more, keep it simple, and, you know, use some really high potent images if I were you.
Yeah, I think it's solid. As far as like just general design of our carousels, like at some point I like veered away from images because I was just like, you know what, I want to get the message out there, so I'm just gonna like show most of my images. And I was really image heavy for a long time, and I think it helped in the beginning. It was really huge, but you know, faces. People are drawn to faces. People want to see.
Mm-hmm.
You know, people want to to see interact with the human person.
Yep.
And the more human, even the more provocative you can make that human in that
Correct.
in that page, in that instance, coupling that with a catchy title, and I think 3 to 4 words would be fantastic. Smaller words work better because you can make them punchier, but the more provocative you can make that image with your title, the better chance you're going to have of catching that attention. Right? People are doing this on Instagram, right? People are just constantly just scrolling. Boom, they see this provocative image with a great title. They're going to stop. They're going to swipe. And that's just general design. Exactly.
And I think one of Chris Joe referenced this before. He had an image. Starting is the hardest part, and it was his most successful image, and it was the lady with the pink lips poking through the page.
Yeah.
Right. So the what grabbed your attention is obviously, nobody really sees that image or saw that image before, and it's so provocative and in your face and a different color than what he normally runs with, that I think people, were just drawn to that and go, oh. The other part of it is they use a leading question, right? Or a leading statement. So starting is the hardest part. What is the hardest part, right? It makes you want to swipe, left to go through that carousel. So you want to lead them through the story. I think that's a really successful formula. Leave a question that's sort of half, or a statement that's half finished, and make them swipe through to get it, and use some really high, provocative imagery to get them there.
Yeah, awesome. Okay, so someone's asking about our first income and what kind of services were you providing as a package? What were you advertising? Maybe when you started your career, what were you said you were kind of focused on UX UI, right?
When I started, it was actually doing web design and WordPress sites.
Okay.
And that was dating myself a little bit, probably about 10 years ago. So doing WordPress back in the old days. But it was nice. I think I was doing websites. I was lucky to get $800,000. I didn't know how to sell myself. So I would just, do them for friends, and, do them for other local businesses that I found. And, from there, I wasn't really selling sort of digital products at that time. They weren't really that known. And I didn't really come into my sort of entrepreneurship probably till about 2014, 2015 with the mobile app world, and building mobile apps. So a lot of that stuff was packaged finished products.
Yeah.
So as far as the information space, I didn't have a lot of experience with it.
Yeah, I mean, for myself, I'm at least 10 to 12 years your senior. So for me, like going out, I got my first job at Disney, and I was a designer. So I was designing. This is like internet heyday. This is like in the 90s. So like literally when I was at Disney, this is when JPEG came out, and it was amazing technology. So that's dating myself. But we were instrumental in doing Flash. If you remember that technology.
Oh, Flash.
For the first time in the world, like we were the biggest studio and the main person to the main agency to use that in a huge online capacity. And I was one of the first people to actually put that on the web. So in the early days, my packages, or the way I was selling myself, was jack of all trades at that point. I was doing a little bit of web stuff. I was doing, and when I say web stuff, I was like, I knew how to design web pages and optimize graphics to put on the web, which is a huge deal at that point, because you had GIF, like I said, JPEG had just started coming around. I was doing 3D. I was doing motion graphics. I was doing anything I could get my hands on, because probably because I just love to create, and I didn't want to shortchange myself, but I really wanted to just explore as much as I could to find out what works. And then that was it. I was just a hired gun for many years, and then that turned into being a creative director here and there in different places.
I think that's really important too, is you were able to branch out and do a bunch of different stuff, and I'm sure you found, your passion and what was really working for you.
Yeah.
But like you said, you were going out being a hired gun, jack of all trades, willing to do, whatever it took to make your name, right?
Yeah, absolutely. It was just one of those things where you had to like just buckle down and explore. And I think that's, it's kind of like one of the, sorry, my daughter's crying in the background. She's getting
nap time.
It's just, yeah, it's nap time. And she hates nap time. But right now it's like, if you can really swallow your pride a little bit, and yeah, I know everybody wants to do what they want to do, but if you can, like I said, we were talking about earlier, just look at your skill sets as a whole and really, really find what can benefit people in this time. You could actually make all of this a win, in 6 months down the line when the recession's really hitting. And, at that point, you can be really kind of humming along with these microservices and just making yourself available. I think just right now, I think it's a really good time to, as we have a little downtime, I talked about this earlier, but to work on yourself, work on your business, work on things that you may not know too well that you've been waiting to learn, and to get better at your offering, offering better things.
100%. And I will add to that too. You talked about working on yourself. I think the big pivot in my career was 2013, 2012. I started doing a lot more YouTube learning. Obviously early in my career, 2005, 6, 7, this stuff didn't exist. You mentioned Flash. I laughed about it because one of my programs I built was in Flash. But obviously as this stuff matured, learning on YouTube with all this downtime, that's a gold mine, right? You should take advantage of that. And, instead of binge watching Netflix, binge watch stuff that, you really want to learn about, or dive into a free coding camp, right? And go learn how to code and build websites, or, build apps if you want. So there's a lot of opportunity in this downtime and in this space that people can take advantage of.
Yeah, absolutely. I think there's so much out there that you can learn, and it's literally at your fingertips, and most of it is free. And why not take advantage of it? And especially right now, I think there's a lot of like 3-month offers and things like that people are giving like free trials of things that are extended because of what's happening right now. Take advantage of everything, all of that stuff. Even software. I think the Affinity packages right now are pretty cheap. I don't use Affinity, but I know that they're offering that. I know that Adobe right now is offering like 2 to 3 months free if you're having trouble paying that subscription right now. So like, take advantage of all this stuff. You want to save a little money and continue to work on your business. There are opportunities out there to do so.
Absolutely.
Man, thank you so much. This has been really fun, and I think we should do some more.
Absolutely.
But, is there anything you want to that we haven't really talked about yet?
No, I'll just leave with this. I think everybody, just a global statement. Everybody's listening to sort of the news and the craziness of what's going on, and I think people need to be, mindful of it, but don't be obsessed with it. Take a break from the news, just like you're taking a break from, having to be, stuck at home. Take a break from the news, relax. Don't constantly watch Twitter and the news. It's gonna, make you go crazy. So, like we said, put it towards, learning, self-education, stuff that can push yourself and your business forward, and take advantage of the opportunity.
Sorry about that.
That's okay.
Talking only on Instagram, but if you want to ask your question, we have maybe like 2 minutes if you want to ask a quick question. But I think that's super important. Don't get so bombarded or we are getting bombarded. Don't get so I think overcome with all the news. And by no means am I saying don't play it safe and don't be healthy and don't
right,
practice social distancing, all that stuff. Like, please do that, but at the same time, don't let the alarmist news from everywhere and anything freak you out so much that you're paralyzed. That fear of paralyzation. You don't want to do that. Um,
Exactly. I think
so
I think someone asked a question a little bit back about using video, or will 10 slide carousels become too saturated? Do you see
yeah,
that touch sky?
I did that. Yeah, I did see that.
I think so. 10 slide carousels, I was joking about this earlier that I think this is a wave that may go away, but they are still so addicting currently. I wouldn't get married to them, but I would definitely put them into your repertoire. And I
Yeah,
would think that, you want to be able to pivot and be dynamic with this sort of whatever the trends are that you're seeing on Instagram, right? So if everybody's doing 10 carousel posts, expand and try to play with it and see if it fits in with your audience. But, you know, make sure you explore the other content too. Make sure you take advantage of IGTV and going
yeah,
live and video posts and single posts and see what really resonates with your audience. Um, because you can't just take what I'm doing or what somebody else is doing and apply it to you. You have to figure out what your audience wants from you.
absolutely. I think he had a follow-up question to that. He asked if using video in carousels is good. I think the way Instagram looks at all content is the longer you are spending on their platform looking through content, the better. So if you're building long form
Mm-hmm.
content, and nobody's looking at it, then they're not going to want to share your content regardless. But if
Yep.
they are looking at it and it's really engaging, and you're adding video, you're basically having them stay on the platform longer because your content is longer and it's interesting, then you're going to reap the benefits of that as well. They like that. So um, one
Exactly.
other one other quick little there's a quick this you maybe advance this. Is it okay to log in from multiple phones to run a CEO's Instagram? I would say probably not. You may be tagged as a robot or a bot. Steven, I think multiple logins from different sources is always going to be a flag, right?
I would think yes, depending on the activity and what you're doing. So I know there's IP bans and there's device IP bans or device ID bans. So one of my devices got banned before, and I couldn't do any sort of profile updating on that. Whether I created too many accounts through that one phone or whatever, it doesn't let me update my profile when I'm on cell service instead of Wi-Fi. So they locked the ID of that phone. Um, but also to answer that question fully, if you're logged on with multiple devices, um, only use one at a time. You don't want to be on your phone and on your desktop jumping back and forth between two, because your IP addresses might be different and they might look at it and go, "Hey, what's this activity doing?" Right? So just be cognizant of that.
Makes sense. And I think if you're handling their Instagram and they have their own phone and they're trying to log in and look at their Instagram, you don't want to be logged in at the same time, right? I mean, that's probably not a good idea as well, right?
Yeah, Instagram will never say that, but I think that's a safe bet and a safe practice to follow.
Okay, we'll end with this, and I think this has very much more to do about like niching down. So, live like Derek asks, I've been trying to brand myself with my photography. How do I brand myself but still do it in a way that will take my business to the next level? I would say this is more about niching and excellence, but go ahead. If you have anything to say about this?
So I saw a person do this, and I'm not saying to copy it, but I thought it was really interesting, right? They showed their photo and they did a mini carousel. They did two slides. And perhaps you could do two or three, but you do the full photo, and then on the second slide, maybe you break down, some of the stuff about that photo or sort of what setup you had, or maybe you do a quick little video talking through, what you were looking at. I think a lot of that, personally, I
Yeah,
would love that stuff because if I'm an amateur photographer, if I just buy a camera and I want to learn some stuff, looking at photos is cool, but knowing why and how you took that photo is even better for me. So I would, try to find a way to deliver more value instead of just the photo from the branding side, and give them a little bit of the behind the scenes. And maybe you do that with a two slide carousel post.
yeah, I think that's key. Like if you ever want to stand apart from the crowd, give people what um, everybody else isn't giving them, right? So I see millions and millions and millions of photographers on Instagram, right? What's going to set you apart? Well, doing exactly what Steven just said, giving people a reason to tune into you. You're providing value behind the photo. You're providing a reason a reason why you took the photo you did. Step back from the photo. Take a picture of your setup. Exactly what Steven was saying.
Yes.
Take a picture of your lighting. Talk about the camera you used. Talk about why your settings were such and such in that environment, and what brought it, what brought this image about in a special way. There are some photographers that really do an amazing job at that, and their YouTube and their Instagram start taking off because now people are tuning in because they're learning something. They're not just looking at a gallery that's beautiful.
Correct.
Anybody can take a beautiful picture, honestly.
Yep.
And I'm a photographer. Believe me, like anybody can take a beautiful picture. You have the right glass and a minimally good camera, and you can take an amazing picture or something that looks amazing. But not everybody can explain why everything's working the way it is. And if you can do that, then you can definitely set yourself apart.
100%.
All right, guys. Well, thank you, Steven. It's been too long since we've just connected.
Yes.
And we should do that again soon. Just you and I, maybe not all of our friends in here.
Friends are cool. It's all right. Either way.
But thanks, man. It was good to see you guys here. Thanks for tuning in, you guys. I appreciate you guys, and I'm gonna sign off of Instagram now, and I'll see you guys later. Right.
Awesome. Done.
Sweet.
Done with live.
Done with
All right,
lives.
that's cool. That worked.
All right, man. Well, I'm gonna end our YouTube. I'll see you guys later. Peace out. Thanks
Awesome.
for tuning in, and please, actually, real quick, Steven, where can they find you? The Steven Mellor.
The Steven Mellor. I actually just went through a name change. So the Steven Mellor on Twitter, on Instagram, and on TikTok.
I will get. That's actually something. What the next time we talk, we're gonna go full TikTok.
I love it. Let's go.
We're just gonna do full TikTok about what's going on there and how your channel's growing. But send me all your links and everything. I'll put everything below for Steven, so you can connect with him, contact him, sign up for his email course. This guy knows what he's talking about. He straddles the marketing world and the product world. He's a smart guy, and he lifts weights, so he's ruggedly handsome as well. All right, guys.
Thank you, man.
Appreciate you guys.
Hey, thank you, everybody.
I'll see you guys later. Bye.
Bye.
Peace.